Hello everyone, Nicholson here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Nicholson. I'm your host, and on this show we're going to be breaking down all of the day's movie news and kind of giving a little bit of background into what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So before I get into today's main topics, I actually want to give a little bit of a breakdown on what Friday episodes are going to be like. So Friday episodes from now on are going to be starting off with a review of a film that's going to be releasing that week. In this case, I'm going to be reviewing Paul Walker's new film, Brick Mansions, but it also contains the user-submitted questions. So at any point in time, if you guys have a question or a topic about any film or anything in general that you would like to have discussed on the show, you can go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section. You can contact us at movienewswithnicholson@gmail.com. I'll put that up on a title at the end of the episode. As well, you can follow me on Twitter at Nicholson, Niklsun, to get any sort of question or topic that you would like to have discussed on the show. So make sure you guys go ahead with that if at any point in time you have anything that you want to hear discussed, or maybe you have an update on something that I have discussed where you have additional information. So without that out of the way, let's get into the review. So again, I went and saw the new Paul Walker film called Brick Mansions, and there's a couple of special things about this film. First off, it's Paul Walker's final completed film. He had everything done from his ADR work, which is additional dialogue recording. He had gone back for any of the reshoots that they may have needed to do. He completely finished his role in that film. So this is his last completed work that anyone will ever see. He was in the middle of filming Fast and Furious 7 when he unfortunately passed away last November. So they're getting Paul Walker's brothers involved to be body doubles, and they're going to use CGI face replacement to finish out his scenes. And then they're going to get someone to come in to redub his scenes if they need to be done. So this is his last completed film, but another thing about it is it's a remake of a very good French film done by Luc Besson about 10 years ago called District B13. I actually saw District B13 when I was in college, and this movie follows a very similar storyline and even has a very similar look, which I really liked, because one of the things that would have taken away from the movie was the look of it. It's set in a walled-off section of a city that's gotten so bad with crime that they can't actually have any police units or anything like that inside there. They just basically wall it off, and it's its own free-for-all section essentially. And so they did that with the original. This one they perfectly set it in Detroit, because I mean Detroit is a decaying city in the U.S. I believe I believe a couple of years ago they either filed for bankruptcy or they were almost about to file for bankruptcy, like a city. So I mean, it is a collapsing city. I believe it's starting to rebuild itself a little bit, but it was a perfect type of setting for this film. But a couple of things that this movie had going for it. First off, this is not an Academy Award winning film. It is not trying to be that. It is not meant to be that. So if you go in expecting it to be, a fairly intelligent film that also delivers on action, you are going to be disappointed. It is not meant to be that. It is meant to be silly, pulpy, fun. And it does deliver on that. It's very fast-paced. The one thing I felt that once the movie starts, it doesn't really slow down. There are moments between the action, but even the banter between the people who between the characters on screen and what they're doing on screen while they're talking, I mean, everything seems to be very fast-paced and very quick-moving, and I really like that about the film. You never really felt bored, which is a big step up from the film that I watched last week. The action was also surprisingly good. I mean, there were times where you could tell that it wasn't Paul Walker, clearly, because he can't do some of those things. I mean, they were professional parkour professionals, essentially. I mean, David Bell, the co-star in the movie, was the co-star in the original District B13, and the two main leads in that movie were two of the guys that created the sport. So I mean, obviously they were both heavily involved. That guy went on to I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he was in Live Free or Die Hard, the fourth Die Hard movie. He's done a couple of other American action films, so he's started to branch out. Now we got David Bell coming in. He's obviously learned how to speak English if he didn't know how already before, but he played a French character in the original. He plays a French American in this version. So I mean, their chemistry was all right. It was pretty good, but I mean, Paul Walker was a little bit better than he's been in other films in this movie because he was a little bit different. And when watching him and seeing him in a role like this, you wonder, like, okay, where could he have gone? Because it was very similar to the Brian O'Connor character, but it had its differences. He was, again, an undercover cop, so right there, it had its consistencies. So the biggest thing that I walked away with the movie thinking, though, was that it kind of left everybody wanting more. It was very predictable, especially if you've seen the original. You can kind of see all the beats coming. The one thing that I didn't see coming that happens near the end, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there was one thing that I didn't really see coming, which I thought was actually quite clever. So there are a lot of good things about this movie, especially if you're really into that kind of parkour, free running type thing. It's got some really intriguing action sequences, so I definitely recommend to check it out if you're into that kind of thing. But don't go in expecting it to be Oscar caliber, because it is not, and again, it's not meant to. But it is fun and entertaining. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely recommend to check it out. All right, so let's now get into rapid fire. So the thing with rapid fire is I have a couple of topics that either don't have a lot of information released, or there may be just minor updates on topics that we've already discussed on the show. So we got a couple of things here. We're just going to blast through them pretty quickly. And the first one is they've actually announced the release date for the remake of Ben-Hur. They are finally doing a contemporary update, or not, sorry, not contemporary, but they're doing a remake of the movie using today's technology and today's special effects. And they've actually lined up Timur Bekmambetov, who directed Wanted. He directed Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, a man with a very unique visual style to direct this film, which I think is intriguing. At the end of the day, half of the movie is visual, the other half is taken care of not only by the amazing talent that you surround yourself with, but by the capabilities of the director himself to organize everything. And as many people like to rag on Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, I did enjoy it for what it was. I was not happy with that horse sequence because that made no sense, and it was just CG for no point of having CG. Like the sequence just didn't really make any sense to have it there. It was needlessly complicated. But he has a very unique visual style, which I think will lend itself very well to a retelling of Ben-Hur. So the movie has been set to be released on February 26, 2016. So the movie's likely to go into production most likely within the next 6 to 8 months. We're probably going to be hearing a little bit more about it in the next coming months. And probably by the fall, they're going to announce the start of production, maybe even as early as early next year, or as late as early next year, to start production on that. The next topic we have to talk about with rapid fire is Lucasfilm has actually come out and confirmed that none of the expanded universe content in Star Wars will actually be incorporated into what's known as the canon. Now, for those of you who don't know what canon means, canon is essentially the manuscript or the Bible that they adhere to. So, for instance, episodes 1 through 6 of Star Wars are canon. Those things are anything that happened in those movies will be referenced at least in the world that they're creating for the new film. So the fact that, Anakin Skywalker turned to the dark side, became Darth Vader, and Luke Skywalker was the Jedi that brought everything back, and Ben Kenobi sacrificed himself, and they destroyed the Death Star, and Darth Vader, helped destroy the Emperor, and stuff like that. So all of that is going to be considered part of the history of this universe for feature films. Things like the novels, where they have Grand Admiral Thrawn, which is a storyline that everyone was very much hoping that they would be using for this film. That is no longer part of canon. It never really was, but they've now officially come out and stated that the only thing that's canon are the 6 feature films and the Clone Wars television series. Those are the only things that are canon. So it does disappoint a few other people, but I mean, at the end of the day, the expanded universe goes so wide-ranging, and even the expanded universe itself doesn't quite adhere to the regular continuity. Other things are explained. A lot of people were also hoping for the expanded universe section for Boba Fett, because for those of you who don't know, at the end of Return of the Jedi, or at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, I should say, Boba Fett falls into the Sarlacc pit and supposedly gets eaten, but the thing with the Sarlacc pit is that people actually take like 1,000 years or so to digest inside this thing, so it's a very, very slow death. So you're most likely still alive for the first couple of days that you're in there, and with him having body armor, he basically blasted his way out of the Sarlacc pit and climbed out, and then went about on his other duties and space, being a bounty hunter in space and whatnot, and everything that Boba Fett does. So that, unfortunately, is not going to be considered part of the film canon, but that doesn't mean that they might not necessarily use that. They may say that, well, you know what, even though we're not including that part as canon, we like that idea, that serves our story, so we're going to incorporate that in our story. They very well may do that. We know next to nothing about this production, and a lot of people are hoping that not this upcoming Sunday, but next Sunday will be the unveiling of a lot of actual official information, because that is, of course, the National Star Wars Day, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So as it stands right now, the only thing that's going to be canon is the original 6 films. and the Clone Wars television series. So those are the only things that they have to adhere to. Everything else they can create from whatever they feel like. And the last bit of rapid fire today is that they've confirmed that Roy Fisher, who is a Broadway actor, has been confirmed to play the character of Cyborg in the upcoming Batman vs. Superman. Um, Now, when I first read that Cyborg was going to be included in this, the first thing I thought of was, oh, okay, now they're finally coming out and calling this Justice League. But since they've come out and stated that, his role is said to be very minor, there's even a slight possibility we may not even see Cyborg. It may just be Victor Creed, I believe his name is. Oh no, sorry, that is Sabretooth. No, it's Victor Stone. Because they did film the football sequence a couple of months ago, so he could be incorporated into that. But as it stands right now, his role is going to be fairly minor. It's stated that Wonder Woman's character is going to be very minor in the film, most likely just introducing the character that she exists in this universe. Most likely they're not going to go to her home planet or dealing with Cyborg's origin story. Unless that's how the film ends and deals with a cliffhanger. We still don't know a lot, but the fact remains is that they've actually got a Broadway actor to play the role. That at least shows me that their casting director is not completely inept. Casting a model to play one of the most prestigious female characters in history. Yeah, come on, really? Unless she blew her audition out of the water, that's the only reason why. They must have chosen it for a reason, so I am going to go in with the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not too excited about that, but this gives me a lot of hope. The rest of the cast that they put out there also gives me a lot of hope. I really do like the casting of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I think that's inspired because it's not something we've seen before, and that's the whole purpose of reinventing a character, is to do something that people have not seen before. So if they were to do another Kevin Spacey, Gene Hackman type, well, why? We've already seen that character. We know every facet of that character. We know the places that character will go. Somebody like Jesse Eisenberg, he can bring something brand new to the table because it's a completely different interpretation. Same with, the way they've incorporated Superman. He's a very different version of Superman than people are used to. So that's the whole purpose of this, is to reinvent these characters to something that we haven't seen before. So now let's get into user-submitted questions. So we've got 2 questions here to deal with. These are probably going to be pretty quick answers, but some people were wondering about, they'd heard some rumors about a remake of Rollerball potentially coming out. I've looked into it. I haven't found anything, and I don't think the studio is even interested in looking at that property. The original Rollerball back in the 70s starring James Caan wasn't a massive hit. It was a hit for the studio, but not a massive hit. And then they decided to do a remake back in 2002. And everything on paper sounded really cool. Like, they got John McTiernan to come in and direct, the director of Predator, of Die Hard with a Vengeance, of The Hunt for Red October, the Thomas Crown Affair. Like, I could keep going on and on and on and on and on. Like, the guy's got a huge resume. They got LL Cool J and Chris Klein, who at the time were in a little bit of a career boost. LL Cool J just came off of Deep Blue Sea. Chris Klein had the American Pie film, so their popularity was growing. There were, they included Pink in the film, even though it was just like literally on a television screen. There were a lot of things going with the visual style of the film. It looked kind of intriguing, and then people watched it, and it was an abomination of cinema. It was god awful. It was terrible. It didn't make any sense. The night vision sequence. They shot an entire sequence in night vision because they were doing guerrilla filming tactics, so they didn't have any permits to film there, so they just had to use night vision cameras. I thought that was absolutely stupid. There was a lot about the movie that just failed hard. It's still ranked as one of the worst movies ever made. I think it still holds like a 4% or 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, it's absolutely abysmal. So I don't think the studio right there is just saying like, wow, that film tanked. We're probably not going to touch that film for at least another 20 years. Even after that, they may come out with an idea that's similar to what Rollerball offers. Maybe it's just a new type of extreme sport, and then they decide to make a film about that. Who knows? Hollywood's full of strange ideas, so there's always a chance of that. But as it stands right now, no, there's not anything about a Rollerball remake in the works. And the last user-submitted question is there a potential sequel to the Footloose remake that came out back in 2011? And there's a possibility because the movie cost $24 million to make, excluding marketing. And it made 62 million. So let's say they put in, it didn't have a big ad campaign. So let's say they put about 10, 15 million dollars into that. So let's just say 10. So that would put up to 35. Well, it made 62 million. That makes it about even. Now, if they were to come out with a really great script for the sequel, they would look at it and say, okay, well, the first one made money, or the first one broke even, so we didn't lose money on it. This one we feel really confident in, and we can really advertise the fact of how different it is. So theoretically, yes, they could potentially do a sequel. It's not likely to happen, especially considering the fact that usually what happens with films like this is some of the main actors in the movie actually make it big. And Julianne Hough, I should say, she did Footloose, and she did, oh, I'm drawing a blank on it now. I was just thinking about it. Oh, my apologies. I can't remember. It was another film that didn't really do a whole lot at the box office. And usually when they see that, the studios go, okay, we can't sell the movie just on that person alone. It's kind of something that's happening with Johnny Depp right now. They can't sell a movie just based on him alone. People are a little bit tired of him. Even when he does a role, like even in this movie, in Transcendence, he played kind of a normal character, but in a computer. So at that point, he was like, well, this is kind of weird and brainy and out there and zany and wacky and everything that Johnny Depp loves to do in a role. So that now people are getting fatigued about that. With Julianne Hough coming out and not having a big financial hit with another film, that scares the studios. And I mean, everybody else in the movie hasn't really gone anywhere. Like Kenny, I can't remember his last name. He hasn't really done anything since. So I don't think the studio's that keen on doing it. It wasn't as big of a hit as they wanted it to be. Their original projections for opening weekend were between 20 and 25 million. That's what they were hoping to get. They only got like 15. So it didn't perform as well as they wanted it to. I doubt that we're going to get a sequel, but there is a slight possibility, so you never know. If news comes out about one, I will definitely update you guys on the show. Well, that'll do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Nicholson. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. And don't forget to click the subscribe button just right down here. Click subscribe and you get updates on whenever I post a new episode and updates on all of your movie-related information. As well, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Nicholson, Niklsun, to get updates on all of your movie-related information. And also, you can go ahead and find us on Facebook, facebook.com/movie news with Nicholson. You can click the like button there. And yeah, just again, more updates on anything that comes out about any sort of film or update or anything like that, I'll post on there. But the Facebook page is also set up as a discussion, so if you guys ever want to just talk amongst yourselves, go ahead and post something on the page and you can have back and forth exchange, and maybe that may even spark something that goes on the show, so we never know. But again, this has been Nicholson. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been great, and you enjoy your day. Take care.